Kenny specializes in helping B2B specialists, coaches, consultants, and other professionals get more clients by making them the obvious best choice to pick. He does this by diving deep into their prospects' wants and needs, and then helping them craft powerful value propositions and marketing funnels directed at those needs. He's going to share some of his wisdom today by showing you how to develop a peak-performing value proposition that will form really the foundation of your business model in the years to come for your startup. Enjoy. Kenny, over to you.
Thank you very much. And I must say it's a pleasure to be back here, second year in a row to speak at MIT. I'm truly honored to be here. Maybe wondering why there's a blank there. Develop a peak-performing value proposition for your blank. I bet Andrew's only just noticed this. A little bit about Andrew. He's engineering background and likes things to be prim and proper. And so the speakers will attest to this. Beforehand, he wanted us all to have our slides in 2 weeks in advance. And so I've decided to change my slides slightly just to freak him out a little bit. So today, I'm going to do something fairly historical for MIT, no doubt. It's something I got an idea from a good friend of mine and Jen's, Leslie Rohde, about 5 years ago. And he actually gave an audience the opportunity to choose between 2 different types of presentation. So today, I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to give you the choice of 2 different types of presentation. Andrew's at the back there thinking, why did I invite this Brit back? So the first choice is obviously to develop a peak-performing value proposition for your startup. So that's choice A. Choice B is develop a peak-performing value proposition for your sex life.
Kenny, you did not clear this.
I know I didn't. So can you just raise your hands if you want to go for A? Okay, we've got quite a few A's there. Raise your hands if you'd like to go for B. That's the majority of the room. Well, I've got good news for both of you because value propositions are extremely versatile. And although we're going to be speaking about startups today, it will actually cover personal areas of your life as well. So we're going to start with startups. Now, I'm sure a lot of you will be aware that startups don't have a good reputation of actually succeeding. In fact, 8 out of 10 startups fail within the first 18 months. And Forbes have put together a list of 3 of the biggest reasons that startups fail. Number 1, startups don't tend to be in touch with their customers. They get their customers and then they kind of forget about them, so they don't have an open dialogue with their customers. Number 2, failure to create and communicate a clear, concise, and compelling value proposition. And number 3, there's no real differentiation in the marketplace. Now, all 3 of those are value proposition related. What you're learning today in this first presentation will be the basis and the foundation for the rest of the presentations you're going to hear today. Because it doesn't sit right with me that 8 out of 10 startups fail because they don't have a grip of their value proposition. So I don't want to leave the room today until everyone really fully has a grip and understands the power of value propositions. Because the survival and success of your startup depends on the quality of your value proposition. So first of all, let's have a look at what your value proposition is. Well, there's lots of different definitions of value proposition all over the place, big long ones and, grand kind of value propositions. But the nicest one I've seen is by a friend of Andrew and mine. He's called Peter Sandine. And he's put it perfectly for me. It's a collection of the best reasons your target customers have for taking the action you're asking for. So it's just a collection of reasons why your customers should take action. And I think that's That's beautiful. By the way, at the end of the presentation, I'm going to show you where to download these slides. And we're also going to give handouts of the tools and resources that we talk about. So how and where can you use a value proposition? Well, it can be used and should be an internal document. And it should be 5 of your best reasons your target customers have to take action with you. So it's simple. It's just an internal document. And then once you have that document, like I say, it forms the basis for your whole business model and your whole marketing strategy. You can use it for your website content, your individual landing pages, your adverts, headlines, elevator pitch, your USP, your taglines, your slogans, and presentations. So if you're presenting to get first seed investment, then if you have a strong value proposition, you have a much better chance of succeeding because it's going to have clarity running throughout it all. So what makes a strong value proposition? Well, it answers the following questions. Number 1, what is it? Number 2, who is it for? What are the features and the benefits? Why is it unique? And most importantly, why is all of that believable? And it has the following attributes. Number 1, it's clear, and it isn't vague or cryptic. And it's so easy to, when you work in your business, to be unable to see the wood through the trees. And sometimes you need a little bit of perspective. Go and sit down. Sometimes you need a little bit of perspective to see that you're not being clear. It happened to me recently. I'd just done my whole website, got it all done, thought it looked great, thought it was crystal clear. And I was speaking to Andrew and Peter Sandine, and the feedback I got was it's vague, it's cryptic. And I've been in marketing for 20 years, so it can happen to the best of us. Make sure that it's specific, make sure that it communicates concrete results, and make sure that it communicates any meaningful differentiators. And we'll come on to all of this shortly. And also, it avoids hype, jargon, and superlatives, because everyone's heard of these things, and they just don't want to hear any more. And it's consistent throughout all of your marketing strategy. So who can use a value proposition? Well, it can be used in business, and it can be used personally as well. You can have your own value proposition for you as your own personal brand. But let's look at business first. You can use it, so you can have a value proposition for your whole organization. And then you could have separate value propositions that will be based off that original value proposition for product groups. So if you run an e-commerce store, for instance, you could have a value proposition for individual categories. And then you could have individual product value propositions, services value propositions. And if you're recruiting at all, then it's great because you can look at who your target candidates are, do some research on that, and then develop a value proposition around them. You're much more likely to connect with them that way. And for actions as well. So, for instance, if you're looking to create a lead generation part of your business, you may be offering a free report or a free download or access to your software. Again, you would have your whole value proposition. You would have a singular value proposition based on that, which would be, again, based on your overarching business value proposition. Personally, you could use a value proposition for your thesis or dissertation. So, for instance, you would compare whoever marks your dissertation with your customers in business. You would find out exactly what they are looking for, what the biggest reasons are for helping you pass and get great results. You can use it for your resume, your cover sheet, your LinkedIn profile, your bio, And you could even use it for dating sites if you are single. I'll give you an example of this. When I was in my 20s, I'm in my 40s now, but when I was in my 20s, I got to a point where I was looking to settle down. I wanted to meet someone, that right person. And I kept meeting the wrong people. People lived in, I met a girl who was in Norway, so there was a distance thing going on. People who weren't into the same things as me. And so I sat down and I profiled exactly what I was looking for. And then I was able to focus on my personal value proposition. And within 2 weeks, I met my wife-to-be in my local pub where she used to go, I used to go, and we'd never seen each other before. But because I was now focusing, I was able to meet her. And it's the same with you and your customers. Your value proposition is a reflection of you or your business. So let's have a look at why value propositions are so important and why, if you have a weak value proposition, it's like having a leaky bucket. So for instance, if you have a bad value proposition and then you send lots of traffic to your website, then it's akin to pouring water into a bucket full of holes. The problem we have is, according to the New York Times, we get bombarded with around about 5,000 sales or marketing messages every single day. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was probably 30 to 50. So we've now developed these subconscious filters to filter out all of the noise. And therefore, your message needs to cut through all of that noise, cut through all of that clutter as fast as possible, because people are filtering all of it out all of the time. And typically, you have around about 7 seconds to grab their attention and then keep their attention. So, for instance, if somebody is landing on your website, subconsciously, they will ask the following 7 questions within just 7 seconds. The first one is, do I understand what this website is about? Remember before when I mentioned that mine was vague? People were hitting the back button because it was vague. They didn't understand what it was about. I knew what it was about. My team knew what it was about, but not all of my audience did. Do I think it's relevant to me? Do I think it's valuable information? All of that, those 3 questions, are around about 3 seconds. Do I want this? Do I trust the source? Whatever they're asking me to do, is the risk acceptable? And then if they answer yes to all of those, you're doing a good job. But there's one more question they will ask, and that is this worth me going ahead now or putting it off for another day, which generally means not doing it at all. And so you need to be crystal clear with your value proposition. And I'll give you some examples now. Sometimes we have clean home pages or landing pages, and sometimes we have detailed landing pages. Depending on what product or service you sell, sometimes there is a need for more detail. This is an example of a clean homepage. Looks clean, doesn't it? But what is it? What do they do? I actually know the guy who runs this website. I've advised him to change it, but he won't listen. And what he's looking for is he's a white-collar boxing event organizer. So he's looking for white-collar boxers. And what happens then is if he gets these white-collar boxers, they come and fight at these events, and then they all buy tickets, and their family buy tickets, and friends buy tickets, and that's how they make the money. But what does that mean, the ultimate challenge? Have you got what it takes? If someone lands on there cold, they don't know what it is. So that's a bad, clean homepage. Compare that with Dropboxes. It's crystal clear, isn't it? Dropbox works the way you do. get to all your files from anywhere on any device and share them with anyone. Crystal clear. Now, Dropbox have the advantage of being very well known, so they can afford to be more simple with what they're offering there. But let's have a look at a bad detailed homepage. You know, I don't even know what this site does. It doesn't answer all of those 7 questions. In fact, it looks like the web designer has just vomited on the page. It's awful. So let's get it off the screen fast. If you compare that with this detailed homepage, and this is around home security, so it needs to be detailed. There's a reason it's detailed, because people need more details there. And I know the guys who have done the conversion rate optimization for this site, they're called the conversion rate experts. And they've taken this business, or helped take this business, from a 7-figure business to a 9-figure business by being crystal clear with the value proposition. If you look at it there, immediately, you've got these 7 seconds. It says security systems, so you know it's security systems. Then there's a phone number, adding that layer of trust. I can call them up. Then there's recommended by New York Times and other areas of credibility there. So I'm building trust very quickly here. Then it's make home feel safe again. So a nice strap line, and it's indicating that it's home security. So I know it's home security. Then they've got Dave Ramsey, who, if you don't know who he is, he's a big financial expert who is on the TV a lot. And so he's endorsing it. So they're starting to differentiate themselves with this now. Then they say it's designed by Harvard-educated engineers. I thought you would all boo at that point, but but again, differentiating themselves. And this is one of your differentiators. Immediately, you have MIT as a layer of credibility for you. You start off with that, which is great. Then it talks about how a Wisconsin police department actually uses it to catch criminals, differentiating, again, adding layers of trust there. Then it says CNET calls it better, smarter home security, more credibility. Then it actually covers some objections by saying there's no annual contracts, no middlemen, and no landline needed. And you'll get this for half of what you'd pay elsewhere. So some big benefits there. And then it has a lovely kind of strapline: get more security, get more freedom, and get more savings. And then it finishes off with some other credibility elements where they've won awards and stuff. I think the only thing I would change is I would have his image facing inwards, because he's leaning outwards there. I'd probably reverse it so that he's leaning in towards the content. But maybe they've tested it and it works better that way. It usually works better if people face towards the content. So clarity compels, vagueness repels. So let's now have a look at how to know exactly what your customers want. So this is how you can get what they call an unfair advantage by going beyond the usual attributes of demographics. I'm not saying these are not important, they are, but we can go beyond that. We can dig and find extra layers. And we do this by understanding what important jobs your customers have. Because there's a framework which is known as the Jobs to be Done framework, and it states that customers buy products not because of the type of person they are, but because they have a personal or work-related job to do. This guy here is called Clayton Christensen. He's a professor at Harvard. No boo, again, I thought we'd get another boo there. And he did a wonderful video. He did a presentation, and it's on YouTube. And he talks about milkshakes, and he talks about how, because he's got a consultancy, he talks about how he went to a fast food joint to help them out. They'd spent thousands on market research. They'd had a market research firm in, and they'd come in and they'd interviewed all of these customers and, done research groups and said, would you like to buy peanut-flavored milkshake? Would you like bigger milkshakes? Would you like different types of straws? And they spent all of this money with this first firm and yielded no results. So they brought him and his team in. And so what they did is they sat and they observed for a full day. And they noticed that a lot of the people who were buying these milkshakes were buying them before 8 a.m. And they were grabbing them and then jumping into their car and then commuting to work. So the next day they sat down with them and started interviewing these people and asking them questions. And the main question they asked was, what job do you hire that milkshake to do? And people were kind of like scratching their head and saying, what do you mean? So they reframed the question to, okay, so what else have you hired to do the same job? And people started kind of thinking outside of the box at that point and going, okay, I get what you're talking about now. And so they would open up and talk about, well, they'd say, well, I've hired a banana before now, but it's over too quickly. And I've hired a Snickers bar, but it creates a bit of a mess, and again, it's over too quickly. The reason I like the milkshake is because I have a long commute, and it keeps me occupied. And, it's so thick, it takes a while to get up the straw, and I can hold it in my hand, or I can put it in that container there, so it just fits perfectly. And also, it keeps me full till 11 a.m., till I have my next snack. I don't care what the ingredients are, as long as it fills me up. And so by asking these extra layers of questions, they got much deeper answers from the audience and were able to define that there was definitely a job that milkshake did. Now, when you're looking at the jobs to be done framework, there's 3 different types of jobs customers have to do, what we have to do. One of them is functional, and that is getting a task done or solving a problem. The next one is how a customer wants to be perceived by others, which is the social aspect. And then the third one is emotional, which is how a customer wants to feel. Now, a job can contain all of these or just one of these. And by asking questions, you will find out. Also, once you've found the jobs, you want to look at the related pain of those jobs. So which negative outcomes does the customer want to avoid? So let's use the example of buying sneakers for the gym. We call them trainers in the UK, but buying sneakers for the gym. If you were to look at the functional aspect, the functional pain, so when you're looking at pain, you're looking at the possible pain before they've bought it, during the process of buying it, or after they've bought it. In this example, a functional pain would be sneakers falling apart after the first run, or just falling apart quickly, and therefore losing their investment. So there's a pain there, and that's a functional pain. A social pain would be other gym members thinking, I look stupid. And an emotional pain would be feeling miserable and unfit and unhappy because I've still not bought those sneakers. And then once we've looked at the pains, we then look at the related gains. So which positive outcomes does the customer want or desire? So with the same example, on the functional, you would have, sneakers are durable, they save money long term. Social, other gym members think I look good, I fit in at the gym. And emotional, feeling fit and healthy because I've got these great sneakers. And so these are all your benefits. And what you would do at this point is you would kind of measure which are the most important benefits out of a 1 to 10, because this is what's going to form your value proposition. Also, at this point, you want to look at the context of the job that needs to be done. So, for example, hunger causes the job of needing to eat, but it has different situations, it has different contexts. So if I'm in a rush, at lunchtime, I'm working, then I'll go to a fast food joint. If I'm eating out with the kids, I'll go to a family-friendly restaurant. If I'm on date night with my beautiful wife, I'll take her somewhere where hopefully she'll be impressed. So I'm the same demographic, I'm the same person, with the same job to be done there, but there's a different context. And we need to be aware of this when we're looking at developing our products, and also when we're looking at developing our offers and our messages for our marketing. See, this helps you look beyond the usual attributes. So commit to knowing their jobs, and you will uncover the magnetic pull of their needs. And that brings us on how to stand out, get noticed, and be the obvious choice. Now, most startups get ignored or fail because they develop solutions for jobs that don't need to be done. They develop solutions that they think need to be done without doing any research. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't just get on and build your startup, but for the sake of a couple of weeks of research, you can uncover some absolute gems. And I'll also show you very shortly how to do some research in the resources section without having any customers as well. Now, at this stage, you've got a collection of ideas. You've got the related pains and gains of jobs. You've kind of worked out the context of the jobs. Now it's time to see whether your product or services actually have a relationship with these jobs. And if not, create them. So on the right there, you can see here, this is the customer job section. So this is your customer profile. You've got your gains and your pains of the jobs. And then on the left-hand side here, you've got your products and services. And if your products or services have a match, so you've got gain creators that match with the gains that are needed, and pain relievers that match with the pains that people are trying to get rid of, then you've got a good fit. And I'll show you how to get this canvas. This is by Strategizer guys, and we'll show you where to get this in the resources section. So once you have this information, then it's time to look at your competitors. So focus on where you perform better and or differentiate on the pain relievers and the gain creators. What is the point in focusing on where you are weak? Acknowledge where you're weak. And if you can't get better in those areas, then don't focus your attention on those areas. So now you've got all of this, it's time to laser focus to the crucial ideas, which is 3 to 5 of the best ideas, preferably just 3 ideas where possible. You can have more ideas that you can use later for your arsenal, but the more you focus on a few benefits, the more power your startup will have. And be really good at those 3 ideas, 3 to 5 ideas. Each idea can be a few words or a few sentences. It can be a claim, a promise, or a description, or a statement. So it's simple. I just have mine on an A4 sheet of paper in Word. So once you've got this, it's now time to make it more believable. Because the problem with being a startup is, unfortunately, if you're new and unknown, then by default, people will doubt what you say. It's only those filters working. We've got these 5,000 sales and marketing messages hitting us every day. We need to filter. I was in the gym this morning at the hotel, and I've got this screen in front of me. I'm running, and I've got this screen in front of me just selling me stuff the whole time. And then I go down to the restaurant downstairs for breakfast, and they've got 3 TVs with different things going on. I've got someone selling slip or trip, what do they call it over here? Personal injury stuff there. And then I've got someone selling insurance there. I've got to filter this out. And so we need to make it believable. You've got your value proposition. It's now time to make it believable. And we can do this by using strengthening factors. So these are supporting factors. So number 1, be specific where possible. So for example, 6,543 members already use and love our solution. We are programmed at the moment. This may change. We may get specific blindness, but at the moment we believe specific numbers a lot more than rounded numbers. So be specific. Avoid cliches and hyperboles, like I said before. So the most wonderful dress in the world, or the most beautiful dress in the world. Everyone's saying that. We will filter it out. So avoid those. Show them how where possible. So explain how you create the results you promise. So on my homepage of my website, findtheedge.com, we explain how we get the results. We use a 3-step system where the first step, we do a deep dive discovery to help our clients find out their customers' needs by going through this process, and we develop a strong and powerful peak performing value proposition for them. The second step is we then create messaging and help them craft their offers around this. And then the third step, we help them create a needs nurture sales and marketing funnel, which is a strategy which helps them automate the process of the sales and marketing using this value proposition and the messages we've helped them create. And we help them attract and win great clients by doing this. And because we show them, people are more presupposed to believe it. Stories are really good as well, so tell relatable stories. And this might be a story about yourself, might be a story about your business, might be a story about your products. You can tell fictional stories. People are more predisposed to believe fictional stories, to believe stories, I should say, and fictional stories come under that. Obviously, if you're telling a fictional story, just ensure that it's obvious that it's a fictional story. Guarantees, so remove the risk by creating a guarantee that's better than a money-back guarantee, because, again, we're starting to get guarantee blindness because there's so many guarantees out there. Offer results in advance, so you might offer a free download, a test drive, a trial, a sample. Show them how good you are, so present to them like what I'm doing now, or do webinars or videos. If you've got any good PR, then featured in. Show logos of publications. Studies and facts, so according to a study of 987 patients, and then some facts. A little tip there is if you're going to use facts, then put the fact at the beginning of your statement, because people are more predisposed to believe facts, so they're more predisposed to believe what you say next. Use case studies. The more relatable to the target customer, the better. What others say, as we saw before, Dave Ramsey, celebrity endorsements or industry expert endorsements. And of course, customer testimonials. But with testimonials, video works better because it's more believable. It's a lot harder to get someone to do a video. Address specific goals, doubts, or objections. So make sure when you're asking questions for a testimonial, make sure you cover those aspects. They'll be a lot more powerful. So now it's time to create a compelling value proposition by getting together the 3 to 5 best reasons your customers have for taking the action you're asking for, and then add strong supporting factors to make it believable. A compelling value proposition will equal a confident you. If you are confident in your value proposition, you will feel it in every cell of your body, and you will go forward super confident, which will really help you and your business. So some quick tools and resources for VP creation. Andrew's going to hand out this handout, so you don't need to make notes. So interviewing customers. If you want to learn how to interview customers, then a great site is jobstobedone.org. The guys who run that are really good around the jobs to be done stuff. They have a great course that you can purchase on there. I have no affiliation with them, but it's a very good course. I've done it. There's the christenseninstitute.org and strategin.org, all the kind of founders of the jobs to be done framework. If you can't interview customers, then the next best thing is to survey them. And you can use tools like SurveyMonkey or Google Forms. And if you can't get access to customers, then you can eavesdrop them. And ways to do this is just to go on forums and just hang out on forums where you know they're hanging out. And groups like LinkedIn, LinkedIn groups and Facebook groups. And if you've got physical products, then look on Amazon, look at what people are moaning about your competitors' products, and look at what they like about your competitors' products. Look at their jobs to be done. A good little tool to use to search Facebook groups is called Postradamus. It's not easy to say. And what that has been designed for is to actually search content across like Facebook pages, Facebook groups, YouTube groups, YouTube videos, all of that kind of stuff, Pinterest and stuff. What it does is it shows you the highest performing content, so those that are being shared the most. And what you can use it for in this instance is to just find the groups where your target audience are hanging out, find the most popular posts on there. Once you go beyond the silly posts like surfing dogs and stuff like that, get the real posts, and then look within those posts and look at what jobs people have to do and what pains they have related to those jobs. Look in the comment section. You'll get some really good juice there. So you can get this, the Strategizer value proposition canvas at strategizer.com. And these guys have also written a great book, which is called Value Proposition Design, which is a sequel to Business Model Generation. And what I would say about this book is buy the actual physical book rather than the Kindle version, because it's got some good illustrations that really help the book. And then there's the Jobs to be Done handbook by Chris Speak and Bob Moesta, the guys from jobstobedone.org. So let's just do a quick summary of what we've covered today. So first of all, a value proposition is a collection of the best ideas, the best reasons your customers have for taking the action you're asking them to take. It can be used for your whole organization or parts of, such as products, services, and actions. Can be used personally as well, as we discovered. Be crystal clear if you don't want to lose your prospects to your competitors, because clarity compels and vagueness repels. Go beyond demographics and look at the jobs to be done. Look at the functional, social, and emotional pains and gains associated with the jobs to be done. Look at the context of the jobs to be done and compare how you address the pains and gains compared to your competitors, and focus on your strong points. And then map out the 3 to 5 best ideas using the value proposition canvas, and then add supporting factors to make it believable. If you develop a peak performing value proposition, you are much more likely to follow in the footsteps of guys like this, MIT startup masters. Thank you very much for listening today.